Hey fish friends, Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks, back with another video. So before I get started, I know my shirt's really bright. It's probably looking almost pink in this video. It's probably because of the lighting that I have set up right now. It's actually kind of more on the orange side, but anyway, it's pretty bright, so I apologize. You might need to put on some shades for this video. Anyway, and then the other thing is, for some reason, this Malawi tank here, I got some new lights for filming, and I made a DIY diffuser, and as soon as I set the lights up and the diffuser up, these fish just bolt. So they're all kind of hiding out in the back corner there. They don't like it at all. So I'll have to figure something else out, or maybe film at another location, or maybe they'll just get used to it maybe I can start feeding them while I turn the lights on or something. So I'll just kind of play around and try some different things. I did throw some brine shrimp in there, as you can see. It's kind of floating around, so trying to coax them out from their little corner there where they all huddled together to hide. So anyway, I wanted to make a video about feeding your fish when you're on vacation. So it's June, we're getting into the heart of vacation time. Most of you have kids that are out of school, or if you are a kid, you are out of school, so lucky you. And you're probably going to be doing some type of vacationing during the summertime. And a lot of us wonder, what are we going to do with our fish while we're gone? And there are things that we can do as far as preparing for, a lengthy vacation, as far as water parameters and reducing feeding and doing a big water change, etc. Making sure that you're using timers on your lights and things like that. But unless you have somebody that's house sitting for you or is going to be coming over to your home frequently, if you're going to be gone for a lengthy period of time, you need some way of feeding your fish. So if you remember those, sometimes you'll see like those vacation feeders. It's like a hard clump of fish food that's supposed to dissolve over a period of time, and the fish can nip at it. I've used those over the years with zero success. Usually what I find is that it actually just turns and gets bacteria all over it and turns bad before the fish even mess with it. So I've had zero luck with those things, and I've tried a bunch of different brands. Maybe there's something out there that I haven't used that's great, but I haven't had any luck. So aside from either letting your fish fast, which is okay for shorter trips, or having someone come in to feed your fish for you, you need some way of feeding your fish if you're not using those vacation feeders, which in my opinion are not very good. And one way to do that is with auto feeders. So before I get into that, it's okay if you're going to be gone for 3 or 4 days or something like that, even 4 or 5 days plus, without feeding your fish. They'll be fine for the most part. Unless you have fry, you'll want to make sure that those smaller fish, those fry, get food more frequently than that 4 or 5 day span, because they don't have a lot of reserves built up as far as body mass, etc. And then the other issue that you might come across would be with aggression. So for example, with cichlids, South American cichlids, Central American cichlids, African cichlids, when they get hungry, they get a little cranky, kind of like us, right? So like when I'm hungry, I'm not the greatest person to be around. I get kind of hangry. So the fish are the same way. They'll get a little nippy in a community tank if you've got a bunch of, Rasboras and cardinal tetras and rummy nose and, danios. They'll get a little nippy, but for the most part, they're fine. But when you have larger aggressive fish, they can start to bicker and get at each other, and you might come home to a beat up fish or a few beat up fish or even a dead fish sometimes, not because they're eating them, obviously, but just because of exhaustion and not being able to put up with the assault. So what I do is I use auto feeders, and I'm going to show you 3 different types, and they vary in price range. So this would be an option for you depending on how many tanks you have and what kind of fish you have. So the first one I'm going to show you is kind of on the lowest end of the scale. And actually I got a bunch of these today on my doorstep. I ordered a bunch just because I have a bunch of tanks. I'm going to be gone on vacation, and I need to ensure that all of my tanks are fed. So my beta tanks and my fry tanks and grow out tanks and display tanks, etc. So I'm setting up an auto feeder in every tank. So I actually bought, I think I bought 11 of them or 9, I don't know. I bought a bunch, a whole box full of these inexpensive inexpensive feeders. This one is called the Daily Double 2. It's an automatic fish feeder. This is made by Penplax. So if you're familiar with Penplax, they make a lot of inexpensive products for the hobby. And this one's, they're all battery powered. It takes one AA battery. And this one was, I think I got these for like, I don't know, $9 or $10 or something like that. So it was like $100 for the whole box that I bought. And basically it's just a cylinder. It runs on it's like a clock. It runs on like on an internal clock, and then it'll turn every 24 hours. It'll make one full rotation, or two full rotations, I think. But anyway, it feeds twice per day. So it will make 2 full rotations, and then you can adjust the amount that you feed, and then the food falls through the tube into the tank. So pretty basic, very easy to set up. There's a clamp, and you can just clamp this to the side of your tank. Make sure that the opening is wide enough for the food to drop in, and make sure that the opening is at the right angle where the food is going to be coming out. So you wouldn't want the hole, for example, right here, because the food's going to be dropping as soon as it turns to an angle. It's going to be dropping down here. So anyway, this is one inexpensive option. It's better for flake food or a small amount of pellets. If you're going to be gone for 3 or 4 weeks, this is probably not the auto feeder for you. Especially if you're using pellets, because it's too heavy. But for me, if I'm gone for 7, 8, 9 days, this is just fine. The next option, and this one I actually have attached to, it's actually double-sided, double-stick tape to a part of my hang on the back. I don't remember who makes this one, but it is kind of medium priced. It was like right around $20 or so. And the way that this works is it's also a cylinder. You fill it with food. There's an adjuster where you can adjust the amount of food that comes out. And then it's on a, what I should say is this one is non-programmable, this inexpensive one. So you set it, you can kind of adjust it to about the time of day when you want it to drop food, and then it's going to drop food on a 12-hour cycle. But you cannot set this as far as the time of day, it's not customizable. So it drops twice a day, every day. This one is customizable. So it has a little, you can see there, it has some buttons and a little digital clock reading that will show you the time of day, and then you can adjust it and select how many times you want the food to drop, and then you can select the amount with this little lever here. And I'll just show you kind of a manual mode how it works. This would be, let's say that it's going to drop at 10 a.m. So at 10 a.m. it would go like that. The door would open, the food would fall out, and the fish would get fed once during that rotation. And then if you have it set up multiple times, every time it hits that time on the clock, it will drop food. So pretty handy, pretty inexpensive. It comes with a clamp. It comes with a base for you to use double-sided tape. So you know, it's just kind of a middle of the road option for you where you can program it. And then the last one I'm going to show you is my favorite, and I have a few of these as well. This is an Hime auto feeder, so I'll kind of put it up there. This one is also customizable as far as selecting the time in which you want the food to drop. So you can select up to 4 different times that you want the food to drop. And it essentially does the same thing as the one I just showed you. When the timer hits the time that you've selected, this will spin around, it will dump food into your tank, and it will reset back to the top. And then every time it hits that preset time that you've set, it will drop food. And then the way to adjust the amount is there's a door where you can slide it open and closed and determine what you want to do as far as the amount. This is probably the best option if you have a larger tank, or if you're going to be gone for a lengthy period of time. It holds a lot more food than the other ones. So the volume is pretty significant. I can have this set up for 3 or 4 weeks, no problem. I've actually done it just because I want my food to come out at the same time every day, and I don't want to mess with it, and it's perfectly fine. Also, if you have like a service business, or if you have a customer tank and you want to set them up on an auto feeder system, something like this is what you're going to want to use. This comes with like a heavy base, so basically it just rests on a part of the tank, like near the back, and it's pretty heavy. It has like 4 little soft feet, and it'll just sit perfectly on the tank, and then it will dispense food. So just a great, and these ones are more expensive. This is right around $40 or so online, 40, $50, something like that. So they're not cheap. And if you've got a lot of tanks, and you have to buy 5 or 6 or 10 of these, it adds up, right? So if you have, let's say, 10 tanks at $40 a pop, that's $400 plus shipping and tax. Versus, something like this, where if this was $10, and you bought 10 of them, it would be $100, let's say, right? So it's 25% the cost, but probably about 25% the quality. So it's not as durable. It's kind of flimsy, where this is very, very well made. But again, if this is something that you're only going to be using infrequently, you go on vacation once or twice a year, and you just need to make sure that you have food for a few days while you're gone, this is a really good option for you. If you want something a little bit more robust for frequent feedings and things like that, or a longer duration of time, then I would suggest going along with something like this. And then again, you can use this other one here if you're just kind of in the middle where you do take several trips, and you want to have a more customizable option where you can preset the time and have a little bit more flexibility that way. So anyway, just a quick little video to talk about auto feeders. It's summertime, and we're hopefully out and about having fun, and you definitely want to make sure that we take care of our wet pets while we're gone. So that's it for now. As always, I appreciate your feedback. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. You can actually click the little icon down below there. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.